Hey there, everybody. Jimmy to the Top Crane here. Nathaniel Lee, how are you doing? So I've rearranged a little bit. What do you guys think? Got three people watching. No, now two. So someone bailed. But let me know what you think in comments about how I got things arranged here. And then also let's talk about this new, if you guys haven't heard about it, the COPPA / FTC stuff that's going around YouTube. And it's a pretty serious deal for a lot of channels. And it's probably going to affect every channel on the platform at some point or in some way. So for those that don't know, the COPPA stands for, what is it? Children's Online Privacy. Let's just look real quick. What is COPPA? Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. So if you guys haven't been following along with any of this, or you're not YouTube creators, what has happened is, I think it was back in September, is the FTC fined YouTube $170 million. That's $170 million for basically collecting information from viewers so they could run targeted ads. And targeted ads are ads that are targeted to a specific individual based on their online presence or the stuff they're looking at, what they're watching, interested in, all that stuff. So, Mike Manfred, how are you doing, Mike? So the way this is going to affect YouTubers now, Soldier Dirt, how are you doing? So good evening. Yeah, I got the same email. Got to just update my info on the YouTube for the YouTube police. Cecil McKinley, Burning Dinosaurs, how are you doing? So the way this COPPA thing is working out is creators now have to select whether or not their footage or their videos are targeting children. And by definition, Google's using children for under the age of 13. If they select incorrectly, then the FTC can fine the creator personally $42,000 per occurrence. Barry Hansen, how are you doing? Josh Wellner, how are you? So where this is really going to have the most effect is on channels that are basically directed at kids. Toy channels, some creators that make stuff out of Legos, even though they're not specifically targeting kids with some of their Lego creations, it's still toys, so that's going to appeal to kids. And they left it pretty vague in the outline of stuff that basically, if any content appeals to kids, contains child actors, plays music that appeals to kids, tells nursery rhyme stories, poems, stuff like that, anything that would appeal to kids, then your content would be considered targeting kids or children. So where the gray area is the vagueness of the wording on it. So let's use my channel, for example. I make videos, crane videos. My audience is not targeted towards kids. However, whenever I've got a crane set up on the side of the road, if a kid walks by, they're always staring at it and pointing and whatnot because kids like heavy equipment. Does that mean that I'm targeting kids? Absolutely not. But that's where the gray area part is. So the FTC could stand back and say, hey, kids are finding your channel appealing, and we're going to fine you $42,000 because you didn't click that your videos are appealing towards kids. So there's that. Now, what I think is going to happen ultimately on the platform, and this sucks for a lot of people that make family-friendly content, is it's going to force people to make content that is not family-friendly because therefore it obviously does not appeal to kids. So there's going to be more content on the platform that's going to have more language in it, probably more gratuitous violence, stuff like that. And in doing so, the kids that are on YouTube watching, with their parents' devices, or, some people just set their kid down with a laptop and put them on YouTube, and that's their babysitter for 4 or 5 hours. Now those kids are going to be exposed to even more of that stuff than what they were before. So the FTC is currently taking suggestions from people, even content creators, the general public, people that like to watch YouTube videos. So if you guys want to contact the FTC, you can go to their website and you can send them a message on what you think they're going to be doing wrong with it. Ultimately, there's some people that are just absolutely freaking out. They're deleting their channels, they're deleting their videos. I would say some of them probably need to, but the vast majority of us are sitting around and going to just keep doing business as usual, which is what I'm going to do. But there's also going to be that group of people that maybe were family friendly that might not be family friendly any longer. And I've even I'm kind of toying with letting a little bit of stuff slide here and there that I would ordinarily beep out as far as language, because that can actually be my way. If, say the FTC does come to me and say, hey, your videos are attractive to kids. Well, if I let a cuss word slip every now and then in a video, then I'm obviously not targeting kids with that. But what it amounts to is the FTC is trying to be the parents of all the children on the internet instead of letting the parents be parents. In my opinion, it's complete and total government overreach. I understand that we need to protect kids, but the COPPA laws were put in place to protect kids from divulging their information to strangers, not necessarily about, say they watch a video on YouTube about Legos and all of a sudden they get an ad for Legos next. Big deal. And then also there's YouTube for kids. There's a whole nother platform for that. So I would encourage parents to reach out to the FTC. I would encourage parents to reach out to the FTC and explain to them, hey, for one, we don't need you to be the parents to our kids. Two, you guys are maybe reaching into a situation that doesn't necessarily need to be dealt with. It's not like the advertising on YouTube is X-rated or horrific or violence or any of that. So, I mean, really, what are we protecting the kids from? I don't understand it. But so yeah, I would caution. In Soldier of Dirt, he said, I'm setting my entire channel to that's not suited for kids, just to cover his butt. Here's the skinny though. The FTC left the window open on that, where they could look at your channel and be like, hey, he checked that this isn't intended for kids, but a lot of kids watch heavy equipment. So maybe he is inadvertently targeting kids. Here's a $42,000 fine for that one video. And since you have a second video that kids have been watching, here's another $42,000 fine. It's $42,000 per occurrence. So if you look at, let's say someone like PewDiePie, where he's got, I don't know how many millions of subscribers he's got and how many thousands of videos he's got. If the FTC goes to PewDiePie's channel and says, hey, every one of your videos targets kids and you've got it mislabeled to where it's not targeting kids, could you imagine how much money that would add up to? So anyway, let's get to some of these comments real quick, and then I'm going to jump back on that subject quick, fast, in a hurry, and then we will go on to something completely different. Let's see. David Webster says, hey, Jimmy, IU OE Local 12. How are you doing? Burning Dinosaurs. Jennifer Saunders, big hello to our American friend from Australia. Hello to you. Justin Heil, how are you doing? T-Roy Vlog. I actually ran into him when I was out on the motorcycle one day. So, T-Roy, send me a message on Instagram, or you can shoot me an email at tothetopcrane@gmail.com, and I'll have you over. We'll do a live stream together, and we'll promote your channel, get you some subscribers. Burning Dinosaurs could mark all videos with age restriction 18 plus if you're really worried. I'm not going to, but it could be. That is an option. King Moab 2019, love your channel. Definitely gave me a bunch of reference material. I took my practical last week, waiting for my results. Thank you so much for keep up the good work regardless of certification. Jim Harris, how are you? Nathaniel Lee, Burning Dinosaurs. Hey Barry Simmons, how are you doing? Mike Judy, how are you? Soldier Dirt says, I know my analytics pretty much says that my age group is mostly 35, 45, I believe. That's the way mine is. Kyle Bass, we has before the same problems. It's called fascism. King Lab 2019. Taking my exam last week, had a problem with the numbers of the cables are allowed to be cut and lay regardless of non-spinner regular cable. Yeah, you got to study up on that cable stuff. Mike Manfred makes you wonder how it's going to be for churches that put their services on YouTube. That's absolutely okay. So we're going to jump back on that subject again real quick. So the channels it's deeply going to affect. There's some young kids out there that make toy review videos, and they, their parents obviously help them with it. And there's some young kids out there that have become millionaires because of it. Now, what's going to happen is and they're going to be forced to label their videos as targeting kids. And in doing so, they're going to lose all their comments. They're going to lose in-screen ability. They're going to lose their community tab. They're going to lose the ability to put the note cards in. And their ad revenue is going to be diminished. They said it could be cut as much as 60%. And some of those channels are making millions per year. And it's their way of life. It's all they do for work. And hopefully they were smart enough to put some of those millions back. This channel is not going to be nearly as affected. Even if I had to label all my videos as targeting kids, my channel wouldn't be nearly as affected. So, it is what it is. I'm going to keep rolling with what I got. But those of you who do watch and your kids are present, I may inadvertently let some stuff slide as far as language. It's not going to be anything too over the top. We'll just call it PG. Worst case scenario, PG-13. So just letting you all know that. But anything above PG or PG-13 will definitely be handled. But To the Top Crane may become a PG-13 channel. John Warren, how are you doing, John? Mike Manfred says I run my church YouTube page. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to affect churches. Josh Weller says I'm back. It was a short book. Dan Springer, hello from Ontario, Canada. Yes, dear. Oh, so my wife came down to eavesdrop. Would you like to jump on the camera? Come on. Oh, honey, there's only 44 people watching.
I don't like my face plastered all over Savannah either.
No, it happens. So, anyway, what do you guys think? If I let an occasional bad word through, is it gonna turn everybody off? John Warren trying to figure out how to upload to my YouTube channel. Mike Manfred, do it. Todd Scholes, hello from North Dakota. Barry Simmons says, tell Honey we would like her to come on and say hello.
There's good guess. I just don't like being on camera.
Cecil McKinley, construction workers cuss all the time. Actually, yeah, on job sites, cuss words are commas. John Warren says, won't bother me as long as it stays PG-13. Josh Wellner, one F-bomb shouldn't hurt anything.
Yeah, but you got little kids.
Okay. All right. So the general consensus is PG to PG-13 would be okay. What? You haven't heard the new regulations put in place by YouTube and FTC, have you? If your videos are appealing to children and children are your main audience and they get to determine who or what your main audience is, then you can get fined $42,000 per video. So the way people are circumventing that is by putting a little language in some of their videos to obviously prove that they aren't targeting children, which I don't target children. My demographic is 35 to 45 years old. So what I missed while I was giving my wife the quick synopsis. Aaron Lynn, you have a great show. I wanted to add some numbers. Hi from Alberta, Canada. Enjoy the channel. John Warren, you've been around me. I don't cuss that much until you piss me off. Well, it is what it is, you know. It's YouTube's world. We got to play in it. If we're going to play with it, but URL tower, just lead off with under this age, not for you. There's that. Burning dinosaurs to drop all the F-bombs in the first 10 seconds. We'll all know to skip with the kids. So, but yeah, I mean, YouTube is doing what they can to abide by the FTC, and that's because they got nailed with $170 million fine. And in doing so, they have now put that feature on our channels to where we have to select whether or not our video is targeting children. And if your videos are targeted incorrectly, according to what the FTC deems incorrect, then here comes a $42,000 fine. Honey, you're already on camera now.
Maybe I guess I was trying to get this on.
There you are. Why are you sitting on the floor? Why don't you come sit in the chair? Why don't you talk to everybody for a little while? They're probably tired of looking at my ugly face.
I have nothing to say in regards to what they talk about.
All right. She really doesn't want to be on. Soldier Dirt says hello, Mrs. To the Top Crane. John Warren says, come on, Darcy.
I'm right here.
Oh, whatever.
I don't have anything to say.
I don't get it. Josh Wellner, it is absolutely government overreach. Smedco says, greetings, Jimmy and Mrs. To the Top. So I did rearrange all of this back here. Made some more room for the other die cast that we added to the collection. And here's how crazy this FTC thing got. When I unboxed this stuff and they saw me pull that die cast out, at the end of my live stream that I unboxed this stuff on, it gave me a notification that my video was not suitable for most advertisers and I had to appeal it. And I'm sure that that's because they saw that and assumed that that was some sort of toy, which it's not. It's a static display. You put that in the hands of a 5-year-old and that thing would be trash in a few minutes, and there'd go $350 worth of die cast. Chef Matt, how are you doing? Says my schedule aligned naturally forces a line to come together. So Timothy Barney said, a woman who has nothing to say.
Not about what they're all listening about. Ask me about medicine or coffee, and I'm all there.
So she said, if you talk to her about medicine or coffee, she's in. So I guess she can do a live stream on my channel about nothing but coffee. Burning Dinosaurs, Nathaniel Lee, his humor is so dry. I'm glad he liked it. What did I miss here? Did I miss something? Oh. Mr. Big, how are you doing? Mike Manford said, if Jimmy can get on camera, so can Mrs. To the Top.
I'm going to start a Gus channel. Watch it.
She wants to start a channel with our dog. Our dog does some crazy stuff from time to time. Gary says, I like the new background. Soldier Dirt wants to know if you purchased Black Rifle coffee. It's the best.
I've never tried it.
She's never tried it. None of your business. A woman that has nothing to say equals a unicorn. Timothy Barney's wife is a pharmacy tech. He said you two could chat together.
Oh.
Todd Scholes wants to know if you like Starbucks holiday coffee.
I do.
She does. Burning Dinosaurs, side conversation with Nathaniel. Sorry. Oh, no apology necessary. Chef Matt says, I'm steadily improving. Your diecast explanation aligned with me. Burning Dinosaur says Black Rifle coffee is pretty darn good. Thanks for that, Mike. He says, I love the new setup. Let's see. Smedco says, what's the 6-axle on the Titan shirt? I'm not 100%. What is that? What's that say on that? It's a GMK, the yellow shirt. Oh, no, that's an LTM.
LTM 1350-6.1.
Okay, it's an LTM 1350. So Lee Bear, 350 ton. And then, oh, you guys can probably read that one. That's Tadano ATF 220, which is what that die cast is, which is a 250 ton. So someone earlier asked about the axes. Where was that comment at? Where did that go? Want to know about the hatchet? So the hatchet came from Stevens Axe Works, actually last year. So if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, Stevens Axe Works, you can find them on Facebook. And Jennifer Murtha Stevens has a YouTube channel, so you can find her on YouTube, but that's where that came from. Big Guns, how are you doing? Says long time no see. It has been a while. Oh, you're sneaking out of the room, aren't you? Todd Schultz says, just started watching your channel about a month ago. I'm a heavy hauler. Really enjoy your channel. Well, I appreciate that. And I've got a whole bunch of footage. You guys are going to get tired of watching videos this winter. When I finally get around to getting all this footage edited, holy smokes. I'm probably just going to overload YouTube servers with videos. Also, started working on the hammer again this weekend. Got the garage finally cleaned up, and I think we got 3 more pieces of plate added to it. So now it's up to around 800 pounds or so, maybe 900. So Thor's hammer is now at about 900 pounds. As soon as I'm going to really push to try to get that thing done maybe mid-December. Still got I've got it worked out to where I think I've got about 18 to 20 hours of constant work yet to do on it. Burning Dinosaur says, got to run. Thanks for the updates. Good talking with you again. Take care. Thanks for stopping in, Burning Dinosaurs. Hope you have a good evening. Josh Wellner says, my season's starting to slow down, so bring it on. We're still busy. It's lightened up just a little bit, but we're still really busy. I think people are trying to get stuff done before the weather really gets terrible. Chef Matt, goal-oriented drive. Our goals have commonality. Rushing is forcing is energy wasted. That's a pretty good analogy there. A pretty good quote. But I just today we did a job picking up some railroad cars, so I may try to throw that out this week. That might be a fairly easy one to edit, and I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I've still got that big bridge that we did over the summer to edit, which that one is going to be a nightmare. I think it's 28 video clips, all of them averaging, 6 to 15 minutes long. And anybody that edits videos knows that, like, say you have 2 hours of footage, you spend about 5 or 6 hours constantly rewatching that footage as you put it into a video. And so the more footage you have, the longer it takes to work through editing. Mr. Todd says, geez, I'm 81, watch all your videos. I think the die casts are really neat. What does that do to your target audience? Are you dangerous to seniors? I hope not. None of your business says, when a Tadano is delivered to the docks in the U.S., is it fully assembled? I'm not 100% certain how that works out, but I'm working on a deal that may be appealing to you guys. and I'll bounce it off of you real quick. But John Warren says, smash that like button, guys. Well, thanks for that, John. But I've been in communication with a gentleman from Tadano that actually was, I think he was part of the team that helped engineer the crane that I operate. And what he does now is he leads a team that every new Tadano that comes into the United States, they set it up and put it through its paces and make sure everything is good to go. And then they deliver it to the customer. What he and I have been talking about is maybe getting a video put together from it coming off the boat in the port all the way through, like all the steps that it goes through, all the way through to delivery to the customer of a new Tadano. So that would be that would be, I think it would be a cool video for me to watch, but I'm going to try to make that happen where we get footage from coming off the ship, everything they do to it, all the way to final delivery to the customer. That's going to require me either traveling to where they're at or his team getting footage back to me, but we're going to try to make it happen. And then also I'm working on maybe this winter when things slow down quite a bit at work. I'm going to see about taking a trip to Houston and shoot some footage down at Tadano America's facility. And I'm not sure what all they'll let me record there, but we'll try to go to where Tadanos are sold in the United States and get some footage of their facility, maybe meet some people, sit down, do some interview kind of stuff with some Tadano reps, and go through their parts service department. I don't know. We'll see. But the doors are open to getting some behind the scenes stuff from Tadano. Art Walter says that sounds interesting. Smedco. So I was poking at our 180G the other day in the shop. I was wondering how you get around the OMS to boom up on tires. Unplug the module under the little hood up front, and it's a bit of a task. So on the 180G, so you're wanting to boom it up with it sitting on rubber instead of on outriggers, because there is a key in there that's an outrigger bypass. Not sure if that'll do it or not. The key behind the seat probably will, but that one's going to data log. Well, that one is going to data log. As soon as you turn that key behind the seat, the old Tadano starts recording what you're doing. Also, it starts recording, I think, when you get to 90% of capacity. Smedco, make sure you visit the IUOE National Training Center when you go to Houston. I will definitely do that. None of your business said Houston, the only Tadano shop in the U.S. Actually, there's outlying Tadano dealers, but Houston is where Tadano America is located. Oh, yeah, Smedco, the dang bypass doesn't do squat unless you have an active outrigger error. Man, that's a tough one for me to tell you to do it, because I know what you're getting at, and I know what you're trying to achieve. But man, if I told you to turn the key behind the seat and boom up with it sitting on rubber and something happened, guess who's gonna get a talking to? Smedco, my advice would be to contact Tadano. That's all I can tell you on that. I know like I said, I know what you're trying to achieve, but contact the manufacturer. They will tell you what you're looking for. Blue Line says, what I missed. You missed a mouthful at the very beginning of this. You'll probably want to go back and rewatch it. Yes, Medco says the emergency operation switch works, but that thing, yeah, because it gets rid of your soft stop, and I think it runs your functions at pretty much 100%. And I've got all of my functions in the 180G. I've got it turned up to 100%, except for swing. Swing is set at 60. And Smedco, if you've got a 180G If you crank swing all the way up to 100%, that thing will actually make you dizzy inside. If you're short boomed and you just start swinging, it'll spin fast enough to make you dizzy. That one behind the seat doesn't even get her. Quite annoying. So, So you got to go to the one behind the cab. None your business says, please explain what Smedco is trying to do to us non-operators. Okay, so he's got his crane sitting on the tires. No outriggers are involved. No outriggers are extended. None of the jacks are lowered to the ground. And so the machine weight is supported by the tires. And he's wanting to boom up out of the cradle so he can access certain things that are underneath the boom, like the engine compartment, transmission, all that stuff is underneath the boom when the boom's laid in the rack. I would show you with one of those, but it's I was fiddling around with them, getting them set up the other day, and I actually knocked the GR1000 over and broke the jib, so I had to fix that. But when you have the boom laid over the front and in the rack, it's very hard to get to anything in the engine compartment and all of that. So you actually have to raise the boom up a little bit. And like he said it's close quarters in a garage bay. It's hard to get your boom raised up inside of a facility with your outriggers out and all that. And basically on the Tadano 180G, which is what he's playing with, and it's the same machine that is in most of my videos, there is no load chart for on rubber, and there's no load chart for outriggers straight down. You have to run the outrigger beams at least halfway out, which is called mid-span, and it's hard to do in a shop. So he's wanting to circumvent all that just so he can boom up enough to get to his engine compartment and transmission and whatnot. However, if I tell him to do it a certain way and something goes south, I'm not going to be the one that they come back and watch this video and said, hey, you told him how to do it. I don't disagree with what he's trying to do. He's not trying to put the machine in operation on tires. He's just trying to get to some stuff that's hard to get to. None your business. So he's attempting to override the safety features to stay in a warm shop. Not necessarily. I mean, it's not necessarily about staying in a warm shop. It's access to tools. And, if you're trying to service the lower, it's very hard to do with the boom lane and the rack. And, there are certain circumstances where you would want to perform stuff inside of a facility. And it's hard to do with the boom lane in the rack. I get it. But Smedco, I'm not gonna tell you how to get around that. I just can't. I can't do it. You're gonna have to contact Tadano and let them walk you through it. If you need the phone number, I can get you that, though. I can get you Tadano's phone number without an issue. And actually, they sent me this. Smedco, haha, fair enough. I unplugged the module, then the OMS bypass key works as designed, just involved. Sorry, buddy. But they did send me this today in the mail, and I actually contacted them and requested this for the purpose of, in the videos, like when I have the camera in the cab, there's the crossbar at the top of the windshield that separates the top glass on the roof from the windshield glass. And I'm going to put the sticker up there, so at least when I'm shooting video from inside the cab, people will at least know that we're in a Tadano. But they actually, I think they custom made this for me. I gave them dimensions, and it took them a couple of weeks, and lo and behold, here it is. And it showed up with a nice thank you card from Tadano and a business card for the marketing assistant manager. Josh Wellner, to the top, I think there should be a maintenance button. Warp 65 or no maintenance bypass feature. No, basically they don't want you putting the boom up at all on rubber, because there would be some knucklehead out there that would not only put the boom up, but he would swing left or right, and then you'd put the dirty side up, and everybody would get a good look at the undercarriage, and probably point fingers and laugh, and hopefully no one would get hurt. But I mean, that's how that stuff would go. I mean, there's a bunch of videos of it on YouTube. Yeah, exactly what None of Your Business said. If you're able to utilize the machine doing what you're attempting, there would be one bozo that uses it and kills somebody. Smedco makes checking diffs easier. And I've got to service the lower on the 200 this week, or the ATF 180. So there'll be a video of the undercarriage. I'm going to go under there with a light and a creeper, and but I'm going to go under there with a light and a creeper, and we're going to get some video of the undercarriage on the crane. Oh, yeah, Jeff McDonald said, I just watched the YouTube creator's COPPA video, and I had a thought, just say some word that is explicit but unlikely to be understood by kids. Yeah, FUBAR would be a good one. Also, there is, I don't know how many of you all are on the old Facebook, but there is a Facebook page that I have just recently become a member of, and it is an awesome page for people that are interested in cranes. And it's an easy one to find. It's called Cranes Are Awesome. I actually became friends with, well, kind of friends with the guy that is the person that started that page. It's a private group, so you have to go on and answer a few questions and ask them to be part of it. But Cranes Are Awesome is a cool page on Facebook. If you guys, and he's also on Instagram. I think he's on Instagram with the same thing. Let me check. We will know in just a second. Okay, so same thing on Cranes Are Awesome on Instagram. He's got about 10,800 followers on both YouTube and on Instagram. But they post some really cool stuff. Like this is one on there. Hopefully you guys can see. Oh, come on. A lot of glare. Whole lot of glare. Maybe that wasn't a good one. There's some really cool stuff on there. Some really, really big cranes. Like stuff that could pick the crane I operate up and throw it around like a rag doll. So let's see. Jim Harris, is your power steering pump bigger than the pump for the boom? It is not. It is actually a small pump driven off of the transmission. And like Smedco says, he's got two steering pumps. None of your business. The engine in the Tadano was a Mercedes. Nathaniel Lee, what's the biggest problem with your crane at To the Top Crane? Okay. If I had one negative thing to say about that 180G, and it's pretty minor, but the way the cab is laid out with your screens and monitors and stuff in front of you, when you're setting your crane mats out, it's hard to see them. You got to lean your head over against the side glass and try to see them through the side window. Or I've actually stood up in the crane with the controls behind me, setting crane mats sometimes. If all of those monitors were moved to the left side of the cab and maybe stacked in a vertical arrangement where you could see out the bottom of the windshield, would be pretty handy. But other than that, I mean, there's not a lot that I can say bad about them. I mean, they're a great machine. They're in the crane world relatively inexpensive to maintain. I mean, cheaper than Liebherr and some of the others. The initial costs up front, I think they're not quite as expensive. Smedco says that Clarion screen operation is not intuitive at all. No, the Clarion screen's not really intuitive. it kind of seemed like it was a little bit of an afterthought. But once you know your way around it and through it, I kind of like it. I like the fact that I can move it around. Just probably why they dumped it in the AML. Yeah, probably so. Dan Springer, both engines are Mercedes. But I mean, as far as Tadano goes, it's been a very reliable machine, and their product support is unbelievable. And really, their support for the channel is pretty outstanding. It truly humbles me that that they are as supportive as they are for a little YouTuber. Our rice walk. My lift with an LTM 1500 8-1 was delayed, but we have an MK 140 on another operation for 2 weeks. That's a big crane. Excuse me. Jim Harris, if conceit wasn't a fault, I'd be perfect. That's funny. Nathaniel Lee, how big is your crane? It is a 200 U.S. ton capacity. 180 metric tons, 200 U.S. tons. Smaller than our Rice Walks LTM 1500 by a significant margin. None of your business is Smedco. What type of Tadano do you operate? I think he's in a 180G as well. Smedco says that I can vouch for as well. Great support and even a helpful person from Houston once in a while. Yeah, they have no problem putting a person on a plane and putting them in front of you if need be. But really, 95% of any issues that I've ever run across with either of our Tadanos, we've been able to fix them over the phone. Todd Schultz says, where I live, we will see some big cranes here in North Dakota on Project Tundra. I've seen a few roll in already. And when I pull into a job site, especially like if I'm setting houses for people that that aren't around cranes very often, they think that the crane I operate is just enormous. But really, in the overall grand scheme of things, that Tadano 180G is on the smaller side of the medium-sized hydraulic cranes. I kind of classify them like, I don't know, 25 to 150 ton is kind of a small hydro. And then once you get over 150 ton to about 350 to 400 tons is kind of a medium-sized hydro. And this is just my perspective of it. And then once you get to around 400 tons and up is, a big hydraulic crane. That doesn't, OSHA doesn't look at it that way, and the NCCCO doesn't look at it that way and whatnot. But, any more a 200-ton crane isn't an enormous crane. Our Rice Walk says, not mine, but I manage civil engineering construction on nuclear power plants, so we have some interesting operations from time to time. We have a 200 metric almost all year long on site. Smedco said, I'm a mechanic who messes with all sorts of machinery. Tadano-wise, probably spanning around 12 to 13 different models. None of your business. Can you have too much crane? Actually, there are cases where a crane can be too big, especially if you're trying to cram them into some small areas. And if any of you guys follow me on Instagram, I post some pictures from time to time of getting cranes into some pretty tight spots. And then also, now I'm on Facebook, but I don't do a whole lot on Facebook with the To the Top crane just yet. Probably because more than anything, I forget about it. But Jim Harris, if your rope is larger than 50 millimeter, you start to have a big crane. 50 millimeter rope is, that's pretty big. Nathaniel Lee asks, how many crane do you ever have? I'm not I'm not sure what you're asking there. Smedco, to be completely fair, my sweetheart is a GMK 7550, but I'm warming up to our LTM 1300. And both of those are great machines. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and throw rocks at other manufacturers. They all build nice machines. Really, the biggest thing for me is if one goes down, how fast can it get back to making money again? And then your business asks, what are those, Smedco? I'm not a crane head. I'm a job site superintendent. Nathaniel Lee, I don't actually own our cranes, or the crane that's in my videos. I don't own it. I work for a company. If I had to go out and buy a crane today for our demographic and what our business model and stuff is, I would go out and buy the Tadano ATF 220. Yeah, our rice walk absolutely says, and too much crane can get a business bankrupt. That's a fact. If a person goes out and buys a 900-ton hydro and they can't keep it busy, that is going to eat a lot of groceries every month. Ryan Huey said Tadano used to be great, but they have fell off the past years. I think, actually, from what I see, they're actually growing, and I think their products are actually getting even better as time goes on. Their RTs are phenomenal, and they're gaining a lot of popularity. Their ATs, I love the Tadano ATs. Chef Matt says our rotator trucks, small cranes. Essentially, a rotator is a crane and a crane is a rotator, but not necessarily. One's designed more for pulling, where the other one's designed for lifting. A rotator can do some lifting, but a crane excels in lifting, but it doesn't excel in pulling. Ryan Huey said 215 or newer. We've had a lot of trouble in AT. I don't know about RT. What AT do you have that you're having trouble with? Curtis Atkins says cool videos. Been a crane operator for 21 years for City Crane in Morgantown, West Virginia. Well, thanks for that. Von Heels, that's a good question. He said, when calculating the reduced capacity of rigging based on rigging angle, do you just do it in a subtractive manner or recalculate the total capacity with all angles at once? So what I will do is calculate my total capacity with all of the included angles and everything. And it takes some math. That's when you got to, and I use a calculator on my phone, if for no other reason, just to spite my third grade teacher that said that I'd never be walking around with a calculator in my pocket. JDS weather first brewer main news and events. What do you mean COPPA and FTC changes? You'll have to go back and watch the beginning of the video, or you can Google it. There's a great big mess going on right now over the COPPA and FTC changes. Ryan Huey said ATF 160 and their new 3-axle 60-ton. Cut and clean. How are you doing, Andy? Ryan, if you shoot me an email, I'm sure you probably talked to some people from Tadano, but if you shoot me an email, I can get you in touch with some people at Tadano that, in my opinion, when it comes to their ATs, these guys walk on water. Nathaniel Lee, the ATF 220 is a 250 American ton capacity. Cut and clean, just been breathing in leaf dust all day. Such is the way life goes for lawn care business. W Ball 15 says greetings from Council Bluffs. Jake, break your case backhoe skills made me laugh. I hate them old pattern hose. I don't mind the old 4-stick with the swing levers. I don't mind those. Cameron Herbert says, "Hey man, thanks for helping out last week to roll my crane back over." So he's a crane owner in Fiji, and sent me an email. Had a dilemma. One of his cranes actually got turned over and was laying on its side with what you said 15 meters of boom out. I think what was that, like 49 feet of boom or something, and was uncertain on how to get it put back dirty side down. And so we conversed back and forth through several emails, and I was telling him how anytime I've been involved in rewriting a crane, I was telling him how we've always done it, and I guess it worked out perfectly. He sent me some pictures, but he would have to tell me on here whether or not I can show you guys. Ryan Hughes said, "If I email you some pictures of some setups, can you share them with everybody?" Yeah, I can share them. If you guys send pictures to me by email and you want me to share them with everyone, I will absolutely do so. And then also, if you're on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you want me to share your pictures on there, I will absolutely do it and give you credit. Tell everybody where the pictures came from. So, Todd Scholes, so to run a crane takes a lot of patience. It does take a lot of patience sometimes. I've actually gone out in a crane and sat for a week and never made a pick. Just sit there and watch everybody work. And it wasn't anything that I was doing. It was just that, they thought they needed the crane, didn't actually need it, but they wanted it there just in case. Chef Matt says, in Ron Pratt's 2-hour recovery video, what rotator truck improvements can be done? I don't know what they could do differently with rotators. I don't delve too much into the rotator world. That's not really my cup of tea. Von Heel says, I presume the crane has to be recertified by a third party after you put it dirty side down. It absolutely should be. Now, I don't know how they do things in Fiji, but in the United States, if one goes dirty side up, then it has to go through a very thorough inspection. Smedco says, sling around the lifting box at the boom lift cylinder, tie the super to the carrier with chains and binders, and let her rip back dirty side down. Todd Scholes says, so what's the biggest crane that your company has? The biggest crane that we have is the 180G. It's the 200-ton capacity. So Smedco, the way I advised him on doing it was pretty close to that, was use one crane to pick at the boom and superstructure, and then another crane attached to the carrier so they could control it as it was coming back to dirty side down. Nathaniel Lee says that to the top. You're awesome, and awesome job with your. And he stopped. Nathaniel Lee, I appreciate the compliment, but I don't really think I'm awesome. I'm nothing spectacular. I'm just I'm an ordinary guy with a somewhat unordinary career. That's the best way I could probably put it. I'm just like everybody else in the world. I put my pants on one leg at a time. I mean, I guess there might be some that stand on the edge of the bed and jump in with both feet, but I'm just an ordinary guy. None of business. The 180G is not the largest crane in our market. There's a few an hour south of us that have 550 ton. So, there's some bigger rigs out there. Jason Helsley, how are you doing, Jason? Smedcos had done that 2-crane thing with a boom truck. Somebody toppled over. It goes pretty well. Realistically, unless you're scrapping one, I think that's probably the best way to rewrite a crane is with 2 cranes. That way you can control it. John Warren, yeah, the crane gets paid whether it's working or not like that. Yeah. If I'm sitting and if I'm on site with the machine and it's ready to work, that crane's getting paid. That's the nature of that. Now, if the customer says, hey, we're not going to need you, you can go ahead and go home and come home or come back the next day, then the crane time would stop after the predetermined minimum for the day. But if they say, hey, we want you to be here, we're not sure we're going to use the crane, but we want you to be here just in case, they're paying for the crane the entire time we're sitting there ready to work. Jason Helsley said, doing good. I thought you had to take that recovery video down. It popped up in my suggestions the other day. Huh. Imagine that. It's crazy how that works. It may or may not pop back up in everybody's suggestions. Feel free to share it if it popped up. I mean, if you have access to it, you just as well share it. Yep, that's true. Our Ice Walk says cranes are rented, so if it's on site, you pay, and every crane has a minimum time. The bigger, the longer. That's the way that works. Sandy, how are you doing? King 2042 says, what makes you want to stay with a company? The machine you're sat in all day, the way you're treated by the company, or a combination of both? It's all of the above. I won't stay with a company if they're consistently abusive or unsafe or constantly asking people to do unsafe acts. And a machine does make a difference. If you're working for one company that has nice new or newer equipment, the heater works in it, the air conditioner works, it does everything it's supposed to do, versus a company that has junk, you'll tolerate a little bit more stuff with the company that's got nice equipment. Let's see. Von Heels, how are you doing? Von Heels said had just recently started looking into how quickly you lose basket capacity if you're picking the ends from a single point. Von Heels, in my world of equipment operating, we'd never put a lot of thought in the capacity of straps or chains beyond keeping the interior rigging angle down. Yeah, your rigging capacity can diminish very quickly. David Webster, do your oilers drive the cranes or do the operators? Out here in California, the oilers drive the cranes and the operators haul the operator load. So just an hour south of us, the oiler drives the crane. Where we're at, the operator drives the crane. I don't know. I guess it can vary company to company. Sandy said, doing good, Jimmy, doing good. Can't complain, and nobody would care if I did. Our Weissrock says 180 is surely a day minimum for the biggest beast, like a 500. It's 60,000 euros just to get it on site and around 10,000 a day. We've actually sent our 180 out. It just depends on the job. And it also depends on where our other cranes are at. We've sent our 180 out in lieu of our 100-ton just because our 100-ton was tied up. So minimums can vary based on availability of equipment. David Webster said I should say the union companies in Southern California. And some of them around here, the crane operator drives the crane to the site, and some of them the oiler drives it. Josh Wellner. Yeah, be careful what you ask for there, buddy. Is your boat a crane? If you can hoist with it, I'd say it could qualify. Jason Helsley said, what were your announcements? I think I missed those since I got here late. It was a mouthful of about the federal government overreaching into YouTube and how it's going to affect YouTube creators. So if you want to go back and watch the first 15 minutes or so of this stream, that's where it's all at. Let's see. What was prompting it was rather. So anyway, I've been running for about an hour on this one. I hadn't even planned on doing a live stream today, but I wanted to talk about that FTC COPPA stuff and let you guys know how I may change the content just a little bit. Ryan said he emailed me a few pictures. Let's see if those came through. I haven't got anything from you yet. I did get an email back from the marketing assistant manager from Tadano because I sent them an email in regards to the sticker. Said they've heard good things about me in the videos and are very pleased to hear of our support or of my support of their product. Would love to have you down here anytime. It would be our privilege to show you around. So we are working on a trip to Houston. Oh, there's Ryan's email. Let's see if some pictures showed up. Oh, that's funny. Boy, you got that one up in the airways. I especially like the AT over the creek. That's pretty nice. So hopefully these come through. Here's some of his setup pictures. And I know it's kind of blurry, but that thing is cranked way up in the air, and that's a lot of work. Todd Schultz says, have to go. Got to go, ready to hit the road. Really enjoyed your chat tonight. Hey, thanks for stopping in. I'm assuming this is on the same setup. That's a cow walking under an outrigger. So, Ryan, is that a picture of you standing under that outrigger box, leaning up against the crane? Well, Todd Scholes, thanks for stopping in and have safe travels. You said you got to hit the road. Alex Williamson's Blind Adventures. How are you doing? Nathaniel Lee, right now I'm just sitting here with my Australian Shire dog and is currently playing with my hand. So there's a picture of Ryan standing underneath the outriggers. Man, you guys don't have any problem stacking up cribbing. Look at that stack of lumber over here by my middle finger on that side. That always gets spooky. Really, this last picture is probably one of my favorites. They got that thing spanning a little body of water. That's fun. I always get nervous when I get them stacked up on a bunch of lumber like that. You get 3 or 4 feet of cribbing underneath an outrigger jack, and it starts making me a little nervous. None of your business asks, Jimmy, I have a question. Do you have pressure downward on the boom cylinder? I think it's gravity down. The reason why I say that is when you put it on the dolly, and if you just keep holding the stick to the right, it doesn't push down harder on the dolly once the boom weight is transferred to the dolly. So I think it's just gravity down. I don't think it's power down. Josh Wilner, I've seen a boom truck jacked up 6 feet on the front end for tree work. I've had them where you could walk underneath them, and it gets kind of spooky. Alex Ekenberger. Saw a crane doing work on my local McDonald's. They were changing out an air conditioner with what looked like a live lane of the lunch traffic going under the boom. Yeah, they probably shouldn't be flying stuff like that over people's cars when people are in it. Von Heels, when I need a letter to get to the cab, I will just hard pass. Ryan Huey, thanks for sending the emails and the email and the pictures and being part of all this. So anyway, Chiefs kickoff is right about now, I think. I don't normally watch a lot of football, but Chiefs are the local team. Probably ought to watch and see how they're doing. But anyway, thanks everybody for being part of all this. I'm going to shut this down, go watch a little football, eat some food, work on some videos tomorrow when I get home from work. If any of you guys are curious about that FTC COPPA stuff, go back and rewatch about the first 15 minutes of this. If you're a video creator, you will definitely want to know what's going on in the world of YouTube and how it can pertain to your channel, because it could get very expensive if you mess up, to the tune of $42,000 per video. So any of you guys that are making content, putting it out there, you need to inform yourself on this. But thanks, everybody. You guys continually humble me, and I'll keep in mind we might have some PG or PG-13 language occasionally. That's kind of my way of defeating the whole FTC thing and whatnot. So anyway, I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening and a safe week. And with that, To the Top Crane is out.